After a quiet royal event took an unexpected turn, Queen Camilla allegedly began pushing for behind-the-scenes changes to royal family rules, sparking tension with senior royals, tradition loyalists, and even Prince William himself. The Crown's quiet codes may be shifting. The incident that sparked royal rule. Tension, Camilla's protocol controversy. It happened quietly, not during a grand balcony moment, but in the side corridor of St. James's Palace. At a private charity engagement, a well-known aristocratic guest approached Queen Camilla. Instead of a curtsy, she leaned in with open arms, a kiss on both cheeks, followed by a warm hug. And Camilla? She allowed it. No correction, no step back, just a faint smile and a light hand on the guest's shoulder. Around them, staff froze. The breach of protocol was clear. For centuries, royal etiquette demanded a curtsy for female members of the royal family, especially for the Queen. Queen Elizabeth II never once allowed such deviation. Her rule was reverence. But Camilla stood still, unbothered. Was it tolerance or intent? By evening, insider accounts flooded social media and private WhatsApp circles among royal watchers. Some viewed the moment as a soft modernization, a symbol that Camilla was ushering in a new kind of monarchy. Others, especially former palace insiders, were alarmed. It starts with a hug, one royal historian warned, and ends with the crown losing its edge. Inside the palace, the divide deepened. Traditionalists called it a humiliation, a signal that royal order was unraveling. Younger aides, however, saw a queen who didn't need bows to command presence. One senior source revealed, "This wasn't the first time Camilla let protocol bend, but it was the first time people noticed." Aides close to Prince William were reportedly concerned. "Informality invites inconsistency, and inconsistency is dangerous for the monarchy," one said. Behind closed doors, briefings were reviewed. Instructions to staff were quietly amended. Curtsies remained expected, but no longer enforced. Camilla, for her part, made no public comment, but insiders confirmed she saw no issue. Her Majesty believes respect isn't in posture. It's in presence, one aide noted. Still, the impact was real. A royal encounter once governed by centuries of formality had changed in 5 seconds. And the Queen hadn't just permitted it, she had let it pass without flinch. For the public, it became a talking point. For the palace, it became a precedent. And for Camilla, it may have been something more, a quiet opening act in a longer plan to reshape the rules of royalty from the inside out. The monarchy wasn't shaken by a scandal. It was stirred by a smile. Camilla's discomfort with royal protocol, behind the palace scenes. For years, whispers have circled inside palace walls. Queen Camilla never felt at home in the royal mold. Long before she was crowned, even before Diana's passing, Camilla's private discomfort with royal formality was quietly noted by staff. She followed the rules, but only as far as she had to. Behind closed doors, she rolled her eyes at rehearsals. "Too stiff," she would say. "Too hollow." Anecdotes from royal staff and recent biographies now paint a fuller picture. One long-serving attendant recalled her frustration with the rigid schedule of royal visits. Arrival times down to the second. The need to smile for cameras even when grieving or ill. She hated that everything had to be choreographed like theater, the aide said. She wanted a script, not a costume. Sources claim Camilla once refused to change outfits for a formal dinner, telling an aide, "If I need a tiara to be taken seriously, we've already failed." This attitude clashed with the old guard, especially Princess Anne, whose unyielding commitment to structure and hierarchy made her the embodiment of the Queen's era. Anne reportedly warned staff early on, "Camilla's casualness will cause confusion." Indeed, palace insiders say Camilla never wanted the spotlight. She didn't pursue the title of queen. It came with Charles. But once inside the role, her discomfort with the palace's frozen traditions evolved into quiet resistance. Aides noticed subtle changes. Event briefings shortened. Guest lists diversified. Ceremonial elements softened. Behind those decisions, Camilla's fingerprints were faint, but firm. It wasn't rebellion. It was recalibration. While some called her updates refreshing, others feared erosion. One footman remarked, "You bend a rule, then one day it's not a rule at all." This long-standing unease, mixed with Camilla's loyalty to Charles and her desire to earn the crown, has created a queen who both upholds the monarchy and gently undermines its stiffness. Those closest to her say she is determined to strip royalty of its intimidation factor, to make it feel more real. But that, some argue, is a dangerous contradiction. Inside the monarchy, Camilla is now a force of adaptation, not because she demanded it, but because she refused to play along without question. Her discomfort became momentum, and now it may be policy. Queen Camilla's contested protocol guidelines, controversy, and backlash. Before a high-profile state banquet in early 2024, palace staff received a new briefing. Queen Camilla had issued updated guidelines on event behavior and seating arrangements. Gone were the rigid dress expectations. Curtsies? Not required, but welcome. Even forms of address were softened. "Ma'am" was suggested, not mandatory. The changes were subtle, but within hours, the backlash began. Royal traditionalists were outraged. One former courtier called the guidance a dilution of dignity. On social media, royalists accused Camilla of watering down the crown. Hashtags like #NotMyQueen and #RoyalDecay began to trend. Anti-monarchist voices found new fuel, calling the guidelines symbolic proof that the monarchy is crumbling under its own irrelevance. For her defenders, the backlash was overblown. One historian explained, "There's a difference between protocol and politeness. What Camilla is doing is reducing intimidation, not abolishing respect." Still, the Queen's name was now attached to something rare in royal circles, a controversy about influence. The press split sharply. Right-leaning tabloids decried the move as elitism in disguise, protocol only for those Camilla liked. Meanwhile, progressive outlets hailed it as an overdue break from ceremonial snobbery. Inside the palace, tensions reportedly flared. Some senior staff felt undermined. Others feared a domino effect across royal engagements, where protocols held events together with invisible threads. Camilla, for her part, remained silent. But insiders say she stood by her decision. "She sees rules as tools, not commandments," one aide revealed. But perception is power, and in this case, Camilla was no longer seen as adapting to protocol. She was now seen as shaping it. Palace power play. Camilla versus Prince William over influence. It was bound to happen. Two visions, two generations, two power centers within the palace, and one throne that binds them all. According to royal sources, Queen Camilla privately urged King Charles to rein in Prince William, accusing him of creating confusion within the monarchy. The alleged complaint followed William's push for modernization, encouraging informal dress codes, direct public statements, and more relaxed family appearances. "He's changing things too quickly," Camilla reportedly said. "It's destabilizing." Charles was caught in the middle. On one side, his wife, steeped in tradition, bruised by public disdain, fiercely protective of royal structure. On the other, his son, the heir apparent, trusted by the public, increasingly the face of a streamlined monarchy. What began as private frustration became strategic tension. Camilla feared that William's modern push might eclipse her influence, especially after reports showed public favor leaning heavily toward William and Catherine. She saw herself as the defender of royal legacy, William, the reformer, challenging it. At one point, Camilla allegedly told aides, "If he wants to be king so badly, he should respect what it means." The clash became symbolic. The crown's past, embodied in Camilla's adherence to formality, against its future, shaped by William's instinct for accessibility. The Queen reportedly argued for clearer boundaries, even suggesting protocols be redefined by rank and responsibility, not popularity. William, though respectful, stood firm. "We're not in the 1800s anymore," he told a senior advisor. "If we don't move forward, we'll get left behind." Inside the palace, some describe the dynamic as a cold war of influence, no outright confrontation, but a constant tug-of-war behind the thrones. The monarchy wasn't just facing generational transition, it was balancing on a fault line. Camilla's reaction to tradition, breaking by others. Observers noted it again and again. When royal traditions were broken in public, Queen Camilla rarely reacted. Whether it was a late bow, an informal address, or a handshake instead of a curtsy, Camilla often smiled, nodded, and moved on. To many, this seemed like grace. But to insiders, it looked like policy. Comparisons were swift. Queen Elizabeth would never have allowed it. Even in her final years, the late queen kept strict adherence to protocol. Camilla, however, appeared to tolerate it, even welcome it. At a recent garden party, a foreign delegate placed a hand on Camilla's arm mid-conversation, a minor breach. But instead of recoiling, Camilla placed her hand atop his and continued speaking. Aides said nothing, but royal watchers noticed and debated. One royal commentator called it a sign of things to come. Another warned, "Camilla is subtly rewriting the rules through what she ignores." Was this leadership, or was it erosion? Some insiders believe Camilla's relaxed response is her way of softening the monarchy's image, especially after decades of being framed as the outsider. "She knows she can't change the past," said one former aide, "but she can make the crown seem less cold." Still, critics argue that graceful tolerance can quickly become apathy. And once the rules become optional, they risk becoming invisible. Camilla's silence in the face of broken tradition is not neutral. It's direction. Camilla's relationship with Kate and royal prioritization changes. Inside palace walls, whispers have long circled about Queen Camilla's quiet unease with the growing popularity of the Princess of Wales. What began as subtle comparisons, style, presence, public admiration, grew into a more complex power imbalance. And for Camilla, who waited decades to be accepted by the public, Kate's effortless ascent was both a marvel and a threat. According to insiders, Camilla began to notice that the monarchy's future narrative was being shaped not around her, but around Kate. Engagements were more widely covered when Catherine appeared. Her patronages drew younger demographics. At state banquets, foreign dignitaries seemed to drift toward the younger princess, even when protocol dictated otherwise. In 2023, One source recalled a tense moment when King Charles referred to Kate as the face of the monarchy's future. Camilla, seated beside him, reportedly gave no reaction, but aides described the air in the room as cut with glass. It wasn't just about popularity, it was about priority. Camilla, now queen, found herself enforcing rules while being quietly bypassed in symbolic visibility. She remained the senior royal on paper, but in the court of public opinion, and even within palace hierarchy, Kate's presence held more sway. That subtle shift, insiders say, pushed Camilla to re-examine the structure of roles and rules within the royal household. Some believe her push to modernize protocols, softening titles, eliminating curtsies, updating ceremonial priorities, wasn't just a reaction to outdated norms. It was about carving space. Reports emerged of quiet briefings where Camilla questioned why unelected royals, read wives of heirs, should draw more public attention than reigning ones. Though never directed at Kate by name, the intent was clear. Palace observers say Camilla's internal influence began to stretch, not to sabotage, but to assert. She reportedly advised Charles to balance visibility, to recenter the monarchy's image around current leadership, not future projection. That included pushing for joint appearances with the king, increasing her own footprint in official engagements, and restructuring access to the media for events where both she and Kate were present. Kate, ever composed, remained silent through it all, but aides close to her noticed the shift. Things got more curated, one said, not hostile, just strategic. Still, it was undeniable. Kate's star continued to rise, and Camilla, no matter how solid her crown, could feel the shadow it cast. For a queen who endured decades of public criticism, the sting of being sidelined by a younger, adored royal wasn't just political. It was personal. The title change, not just traditions, but identity rules. It was a moment that came and went with little fanfare, a subtle change in language, but a seismic shift in symbolism. In early 2023, official palace communications quietly dropped the term Queen Consort and replaced it with Queen Camilla. For many, it seemed inevitable. She was, after all, the reigning monarch's wife. But behind the curtain, the removal of consort was more than semantics. It was a deliberate, highly orchestrated step to reshape Camilla's identity within the monarchy, one that sparked fierce debate among both royal insiders and the public. Traditionally, the title Queen Consort exists to separate a reigning queen from the wife of a king. Queen Elizabeth was queen regnant, sovereign in her own right. Camilla, by comparison, was not born to rule. The consort label preserved that distinction. So when it was removed, even quietly, many saw it as Camilla asserting equal footing, visibly, publicly, and institutionally. Critics were swift to respond. She was supposed to support, not reign, one royal commentator argued. On social media, debates erupted. #NotMyQueen trended again, echoing long-standing public resentment over Camilla's rise, especially in the shadow of Princess Diana's legacy. Supporters, however, said it was about clarity. No one says Queen Consort in casual speech, a palace aide noted. She is the queen. Let the title reflect the truth. But others weren't so sure. Did truth mean legality or legacy? Insiders claim Camilla pushed for the change privately but firmly. One staffer described her tone as calm but insistent. She wanted the respect that came with the crown, not as Charles's accessory, but as his equal. And Charles, devoted to her survival in the public eye, agreed. The change also influenced internal dynamics. Event introductions were adjusted. seating orders were revised. Official documents used her new title without question. In just a few weeks, the term consort had disappeared from every corridor of royal protocol. For some royals, especially Princess Anne and even Prince William, the shift raised deeper concerns. Not because of the title, but what it might signal next. If she can reshape her own identity in the system, what else can be redefined? One insider wondered. In the end, Camilla's nameplate changed. But the weight of that change echoed far beyond paper. It wasn't just a new title. It was a rewritten definition of belonging. Rumors, conspiracy, and palace whispers. The myth of Camilla rewriting rules. As Camilla's public role expanded, so too did the rumors. YouTube channels, Twitter threads, and anonymous blogs exploded with dramatic claims that Camilla was secretly rewriting the monarchy's rulebook, that she was positioning her own family for succession, even that she was working to reduce William and Catherine's visibility. None of these were proven, but none were fully denied. The palace, as always, said nothing. Silence is strategy. But in that vacuum, conspiracy spread like wildfire. One viral post alleged that Camilla had redrafted internal succession procedures to give her children honorary peerages. Another claimed she was maneuvering behind closed doors to challenge William's public prominence. What fueled these narratives wasn't evidence. It was distrust. Many still remembered Diana. Many still viewed Camilla as the interloper, tolerated but never embraced. So when protocol changes happened, or when Camilla's presence increased at events where William and Kate once dominated, the optics told their own story. Was Camilla behind it? Was she merely present during change? Or was she a symbol of it? What mattered wasn't truth, it was plausibility. A former courtier said it best. People believe what makes emotional sense. Camilla, in their eyes, was always rewriting something, even if it was just her own past. Still, some of the theories were outlandish. Secret oaths, vanished documents, even a forged title grant. None credible, but all shared for millions to see. And with every whisper, her legitimacy was tested again. Context: real changes in royal rules and succession law. Lost beneath the noise of headlines and royal speculation is one quiet, legal reality. Royal rules do change, but rarely from within. Real reform in the monarchy is slow, deliberate, and must pass through the machinery of government, not just the minds of monarchs. Take, for example, the succession to the Crown Act of 2013, passed during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. It marked one of the most historic reforms in modern royal history, abolishing male primogeniture so that a firstborn daughter would no longer be outranked by a younger brother. The law also removed the ban on heirs marrying Catholics, a restriction that had been in place since the 1700s. These were not symbolic changes. They were binding, legal, and structural. And they didn't come from inside the palace. They came from Parliament, after consultation with all 16 Commonwealth realms. So where does that leave Queen Camilla and the growing conversation around her alleged desire to reshape royal protocol? Technically, her direct legal power is minimal. She cannot unilaterally rewrite rules of succession. She cannot grant or revoke HRH, his/her Royal Highness styles. Even royal titles, such as Duke or Princess, must be granted through letters patent, formal legal documents issued by the sovereign, and often requiring ministerial consent. But where Camilla wields real influence is not in legislation. It's in perception. In the space where tradition meets modern optics, where gestures, tone, and presentation define how power is experienced by the public. This is the gray space of monarchy, and Camilla knows it well. She can't erase a title, but she can choose whether to say it. She can't rewrite protocol, but she can choose to soften it. She may not control who bows to whom, but she can decide how to respond when someone doesn't. And in this royal ecosystem, where symbolism is currency, those quiet decisions matter just as much as law. For example, if Camilla stops requiring curtsies from junior royals or guests, it's not illegal, but it sends a message. The hierarchy is shifting. If she chooses not to punish breaches of formality, it suggests that old rules may no longer carry weight. To the public, such choices feel like power, and that perception shapes headlines, stirs debates, and redefines expectations. Insiders say Camilla understands this well. She doesn't need to legislate change, she only needs to normalize it. In that sense, her power lies not in policy, but in practice. And while she may not be rewriting the rulebook, she is slowly turning its pages, deciding what gets highlighted, what gets ignored, and what, quietly, subtly, fades away. As one royal advisor put it, the monarchy isn't just run by law, it's run by rhythm. Camilla's changing the beat. And sometimes, that's all it takes to start a new era. The legacy of Princess Diana and the pressure to modernize rules. Every decision Queen Camilla makes, every protocol she alters, softens, or preserves, carries a weight few dare name aloud. Diana. It is a truth whispered through palace halls, echoed in every press headline and public reaction. Princess Diana didn't just redefine what it meant to be royal. She redefined what the world expected from the monarchy. Warmth over distance, vulnerability over stoicism, a beating human heart beneath the sapphire crown. Even now, decades after her death, her ghost is present, not as a haunting, but as a benchmark. And Camilla lives in that shadow, day after day. Not in scandal now, but in expectation. Every curtsy allowed to be skipped, every rule rewritten for modern taste, draws comparisons not to monarchs past, but to the woman who broke the mold and paid the price for doing so. Camilla knows this. She has not been oblivious to it. For more than 20 years, she walked the tightrope between self-preservation and duty. She does not try to be Diana. She cannot be. But sources close to her say she often feels the pressure, not to replicate Diana's image, but to bend the monarchy in the direction Diana might have led it. A monarchy with more transparency, more relevance, less ritual for ritual's sake. And while Camilla holds the crown now, it is Prince William who carries Diana's legacy like armor and compass. His push for modernization, his resistance to performative ceremony, his insistence on emotional honesty, does not come from rebellion. It comes from memory. He is not tearing down the institution. He is trying to finish the repair job Diana began with her truth. And Camilla, standing at the center of that movement, faces a quiet ultimatum: align with change, or stand in its way. Insiders say this has created moments of tension between Queen Camilla and William behind the scenes. Not hostility, but differing philosophies. She sees dignity in tradition. He sees dignity in honesty. And in the spaces between their views, the monarchy teeters towards something unfamiliar: adaptation. What Camilla fears most, according to sources, is becoming the face of resistance to progress. She has worked too hard, survived too much, to be seen as the one who holds the institution back. And yet, Every tradition she tries to preserve is measured not by the queen she is, but by the queen the public lost. Diana's legacy didn't just shift public sentiment, it embedded a generational demand for change, for accessibility, for humility, for relevance. That legacy lives in William. It lives in Catherine. And whether Camilla embraces it or not, it is shaping the future of the monarchy around her. In the end, Camilla's reign may never escape comparison, but it may yet serve a higher purpose, not by erasing the past, but by slowly, cautiously walking toward the future Diana once dreamed of. Because, in some unspoken way, every reform now whispers her name. And Camilla, however complex her journey, may end up being the one to carry that reform over the line, whether she meant to or not. Camilla may not rewrite the law, but she's already redrawing the lines, and the monarchy will never move the same again.